7. Old school decluttering methods that changed my life and simplified everything. After 60. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and suddenly feel exhausted? Closets won't close, you can't find anything, and your own home feels overwhelming. If you're over 60 and drowning in decades of stuff, the Reset Granny has 7 old-school secrets that'll change everything. In this video, you'll discover 7 decluttering methods our grandmothers used, not because they were trendy, but because they had to make life work with less. These aren't about perfection or Pinterest-worthy shelves. They're about breathing easier, moving lighter, and finally feeling at home in your own space again. You'll learn simple tests to decide what stays and what goes, gentle ways to let go without regret, and daily habits that keep clutter from creeping back. The last method? It's the one that changed everything for me. Let's be honest. Somewhere between raising families, building careers, and just living life, we accumulated. We kept things just in case. We held on to gifts we never liked because someone gave them with love. We saved clothes for a body we haven't had in years. And now, we're tired. Tired of dusting things we don't love. Tired of moving piles around. Tired of feeling like our homes own us instead of the other way around. You're not lazy or messy. You're just carrying decades of weight. After 60, you've earned the right to live simply. Let me tell you about my neighbour Faith. She's 68, raised 4 kids, and spent 50 years keeping everyone's memories. Her home was full. Photo albums stacked in corners, china never used, boxes labelled kids' stuff they never claimed. One afternoon, she sat on her couch and cried. Not from sadness, but realising she was living in a museum of her past. She asked for help. Over the next few months, we didn't just clear space, we gave her life back. She slept better, felt calmer, and her house finally felt like hers again. Our grandmothers didn't have storage units, 3-car garages filled with boxes, or fancy organising systems they bought and never used. They had something better. One simple, honest test that kept their homes manageable and their lives peaceful. If you haven't used something in a year, you don't need it. Period. Not maybe next season when the weather changes. Not I might fix it someday when I have time. Not it was expensive so I should keep it even though I never use it. If an item hasn't served you, helped you, or brought you joy in 12 full months, it's taking up space that peace, clarity, and breathing room could fill instead. This rule is powerful precisely because it's honest, and honesty is what we need most when we're decluttering. We lie to ourselves constantly about what we'll use again. We hold on to kitchen gadgets we've never once touched because they seemed like a good idea at the time. We keep craft supplies for projects we'll never actually start. We save clothes that haven't fit in years, telling ourselves we might lose weight or that styles might come back. We store broken items we swear will repair someday, even though someday never comes. Start small with this method. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to tackle your entire house in one weekend. Go through one drawer, one shelf, one closet at a time. Make it manageable. Pick up each item individually and ask yourself one honest question. When's the last time I actually touched this? When did I last use it for its intended purpose? Not when did I move it from one pile to another, but when did it actually serve me? If the answer is more than a year ago, it's time to let it go. And here's the truth that makes this easier, the truth that removes the guilt. Someone else could be using it right now. That bread maker gathering dust in your cabinet could be making fresh, warm loaves in someone else's kitchen tomorrow. Those books you've already read and will never open again could be bringing joy and knowledge to a new reader. Those clothes that no longer fit you could be someone else's perfect outfit. Letting go isn't wasteful when it means someone else gets to benefit from what you're not using. Your grandmother knew this instinctively. She didn't hoard because she understood something fundamental. Unused things aren't treasures you're protecting. They're just objects taking up space you could be using to breathe, to move freely, to live without constantly navigating around stuff. She kept what served her family and let go of the rest without guilt or second guessing. That's the wisdom we need to reclaim. 1 year, that's your measuring stick. If it hasn't served you in 12 months, it's not serving you at all. It's just taking up room that peace could occupy instead. This method is gentle, compassionate, and it works absolute wonders if you're the type of person who's afraid of regret. And let's be honest, most of us are. We've all heard stories about someone who donated something and then needed it 2 weeks later. We've all experienced that moment of, where did I put that thing, and worried we got rid of it. That fear keeps us stuck, surrounded by things we don't use but can't quite commit to releasing. The box test gives you a safety net while still moving you forward toward a clearer, lighter home. Here's exactly how it works. Take anything you're genuinely unsure about and put it in a box. These are the items that don't spark joy, but don't spark anger either. The things you might need but probably won't. The belongings tied to memories but not to your current daily life. The duplicates you're keeping just in case. The gifts you feel obligated to keep. The maybe someday items. Put them all in a box, or several boxes if you need to. Don't overthink it. If you're uncertain about an item, into the box it goes. Now tape each box completely shut. Write today's date clearly on the outside with a permanent marker where you'll see it easily. Then put these boxes somewhere out of sight. The back of the garage, a high closet shelf, under the guest bed, in the basement, wherever you won't see them during your daily routine. This part is crucial. Out of sight really does mean out of mind, and that's exactly what we're testing. Here's the important part, the part that makes this method so effective. If you don't open that box in 6 months to retrieve something you actually need, you don't need what's inside. After 6 full months pass, donate the entire box without opening it. Don't peek inside. Don't second guess yourself. Don't untape it, just to check. Just take those sealed boxes directly to a donation centre and let them go. I promise you something powerful based on years of experience. You won't even remember what was in there. I've done this method myself multiple times. Faith did it when we decluttered her home. I've walked dozens of other people through this exact process, and not once, not a single time, has anyone regretted what they donated from those sealed boxes. Not once has anyone contacted me months later wishing they'd kept something. Not once has anyone actually needed an item they let go of this way. Because here's the truth we need to accept. If you didn't need something badly enough to retrieve it from a box in 6 whole months, half a year of your life, you were never going to use it. You just thought you might, and that's not the same thing at all. This method works beautifully because it removes the emotional burden of decision-making in the moment while still achieving the same result. A clearer, lighter, more peaceful home. You're not forcing yourself to make permanent decisions when you're not ready. You're giving yourself time and space to see what you actually need versus what you just think you might need someday. And the answer becomes crystal clear after 6 months of not needing it even once. This was a Depression-era trick that kept homes running smoothly when people had less time and fewer conveniences. The principle is beautifully simple. When you pick something up, deal with it right then. Don't set it down to handle later. Don't create a pile to sort through eventually. Finish the task the moment you touch the item. Mail gets sorted immediately the moment you bring it inside. Junk goes straight to recycling. Bills go to your payment area. Important documents get filed. No mail pile on the counter. Laundry gets folded and put away the moment it comes out of the dryer, not piled on a chair for 3 days. Dishes get washed or loaded into the dishwasher right after use, not stacked in the sink, creating a mountain you'll dread tackling later. The newspaper gets read and recycled, not stacked on the coffee table. It sounds small, almost too simple to matter. But this single habit stops clutter before it has a chance to start. Because here's what happens when we don't follow this rule. We create temporary homes for things. The mail pile becomes permanent. The laundry chair becomes a fixture. The dishes multiply until washing them feels overwhelming. Before you know it, you're not dealing with one item, you're dealing with dozens, and the task that would have taken 30 seconds now takes 30 minutes. When you're over 60, energy is precious. Why waste it on creating problems you'll just have to solve later? Your future self will thank you every single time you finish something the moment you touch it. This isn't about being rigid or perfect. It's about making life easier by handling small tasks before they become big burdens. Here's the truth nobody tells you, but the reset granny will. Keeping something you don't love doesn't honor the person who gave it to you. It just fills your home with guilt and obligation. That vase from your sister-in-law that clashes with everything you own. The itchy sweater from your daughter that you've never worn. The decorative items that aren't your style but you display anyway because you feel you have to. Every time you see these things, you don't think of love. You think of guilt. You think of the expectation to keep it forever. You think of the judgment you imagine you'll face if they visit and notice it's gone. But here's what matters. The love was in the giving, not the keeping. The thoughtfulness was in the gesture, not in you storing something forever that brings you no joy. You're allowed to let it go. You're allowed to donate it to someone who will actually use it and love it. That's not disrespect. That's wisdom. That's understanding that your home should hold what serves you, not what burdens you with obligation. And here's something else. Most people who gave you gifts aren't tracking whether you still have them. They're not coming over with a checklist. The guilt you're carrying is often self-imposed. Release yourself from it. Keep gifts that genuinely bring you joy or serve a purpose in your life. Let go of everything else with gratitude for the gesture and freedom from the burden. Your grandmother would have understood this completely. She didn't have room for guilt, only for what mattered. Method 5. The Sunday Reset. Our grandmothers had a rhythm to their weeks that kept chaos from taking over. Sunday wasn't just a day of rest, it was also a day of reset. They understood something we've forgotten in our busy modern lives. A little maintenance prevents major overwhelm. Here's how this works, and why it's perfect for life after 60. Pick one day each week, whatever day works for your schedule. Sunday, Saturday, Monday, it doesn't matter. Block out just 30 minutes total. That's it. Not hours of deep cleaning, not exhausting organizing sessions, just 30 simple minutes broken into manageable chunks. Spend 15 minutes tidying your living room. Fluff the pillows, clear any clutter from surfaces, put away items that migrated from other rooms. Spend 10 minutes clearing your kitchen counters, put away appliances you're not using, wipe down surfaces, clear the sink. Spend 5 minutes straightening your bedroom. Make the bed properly, put away any clothes, clear your nightstand. This isn't deep cleaning. You're not scrubbing floors or reorganizing closets. This is maintenance. This is resetting your space back to baseline before things get out of control. And here's why this method is so powerful. It prevents the overwhelm that makes us give up entirely. When you let things pile up for weeks, decluttering becomes a huge project you don't have the energy for. But when you spend just 30 minutes each week maintaining order, your home never gets to that overwhelming point. When you're over 60, easy is everything. Consistency is everything. This gentle weekly rhythm keeps your space manageable without exhausting you. Pick your day, set a timer, and protect your peace before it gets disrupted. This one's simple but powerful, and it cuts through all the complicated organizing advice out there. Look at the things around you and ask yourself one honest question. Do I love this, or am I just used to it? There's a huge difference, and most of us have never stopped to notice it. You don't need 12 coffee mugs if you only love 2 and reach for the same ones every morning anyway. You don't need a closet full of clothes if only 10 pieces actually make you feel good when you wear them. You don't need 3 sets of dishes if you only use 1. You don't need every book you've ever owned if you're never going to read them again. Our grandmothers kept less because they chose better. They didn't have excess taking up space in their homes and minds. They kept what they loved and used, and they let go of the rest without guilt. This method requires honesty with yourself. We get attached to things not because we love them, but because they're familiar. Because we've had them so long that getting rid of them feels wrong. Because we spent money on them once, even if that was 20 years ago. But familiarity isn't love. History isn't usefulness. Start looking at your belongings with fresh eyes. Pick up items one at a time and really feel whether they bring you genuine joy or just take up space. Keep what lights you up, the mug that makes you smile, the sweater that feels like a hug, the book you reread and treasure. Let go of everything else, even if it's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine, but unloved is still clutter. Keep what serves your soul, not just your storage. Here's the one that changed everything for me, and I believe it'll change things for you too. I started asking myself one powerful question that shifted how I saw every item in my home. If I passed tomorrow, would I want my children sorting through this? Would I want them burdened with boxes of things I didn't even use? Would I want them spending days, maybe weeks, going through decades of my accumulation, trying to figure out what matters and what doesn't? That question made me see my clutter completely differently. It wasn't just my stuff anymore. It was a future burden I was creating for the people I love most. Every item I keep that I don't need or use is something they'll eventually have to deal with. Every box in the attic, every overstuffed closet, every drawer full of miscellaneous things, that's all going to land on them when I'm gone. And here's what hit me hardest. They won't know what mattered to me. They won't know which items held real meaning and which were just things I never got around to discarding. So I started letting go, not out of fear, but out of love. I started being intentional about what I keep. I keep things that tell my story, that hold genuine meaning, that I actually use and enjoy. I let go of everything else. I'm making it easier for them. I'm making sure that what I leave behind is memories and meaning, not messes and obligations. This shift changed everything because it gave me a reason beyond myself. Your legacy isn't measured by how much stuff you leave behind. It's measured by the love and memories you created, and by how much you loved the people you're leaving behind enough to not burden them unnecessarily. But here's what most people don't realize. Decluttering after 60 isn't really about the stuff. It's about reclaiming your energy. Every single item you own takes a little piece of your attention, even when you're not looking at it. It needs to be dusted, moved, stored, organized, and remembered. It whispers at you from closets and corners. It creates mental to-do lists you never asked for. And after decades of caring for everyone and everything else, you finally get to ask yourself one liberating question. What do I actually need to feel at peace? Not what should you keep, not what others expect you to have, but what truly serves your peace right now, in this season of your life. The answer is usually a lot less than you think. And that's not loss. That's not deprivation. That's freedom. That's getting back the mental space and physical energy you've been giving away to objects that don't deserve it. When you let go of what doesn't matter, you finally have room for what does. Ease, breath, calm, and the simple joy of being home without feeling overwhelmed. Your grandmother understood this deeply. She knew that less isn't about having nothing. It's about having exactly enough. Faith called me months later and said something I'll never forget. I didn't realize how heavy I was carrying everything until I finally put it down. Her home wasn't empty. It was light. She could find things, breathe easier, move freely. She started inviting friends over again, something she'd stopped doing out of embarrassment. And the best part, she finally felt like herself again. Not the version buried under decades of stuff, but the woman who deserves to live simply, joyfully, and free. Remember, you're not decluttering to impress anyone. You're doing it to make space for the life you still want to live. You've spent decades taking care of everyone else. Now it's time to take care of your peace. Start small. Pick one method. Give yourself grace. And know that every item you release is a little more freedom you're giving yourself. You've earned that. The Reset Granny believes in you, and she knows you're ready.